Is it time for recess yet? I'm so glad you found time to join us here on the Childcare Director's Chair, where Erica Sacoccio shares her best practices that she's refined through her passion of directing childcare centers over the last 23 years. From parenting interaction, systems to save you time, money, and stress, to profitability. She shares it all from the Childcare Director's Chair.
Hey, welcome to the Childcare Director's Chair. This is your host, Erica Sacoccio. I hope that you have a nice cup of hot tea or coffee in your hand and you're nice and relaxed. Today, I want to talk a little bit about childcare staffing shortages. And yesterday, I talked quite a bit about making sure that you take care of yourself and the impact that it is having right now on administrators across the country. There are centers that have been in business for years and years that are closing their doors. There are people who love the field and never would even think of leaving, 4 or 5 years ago, who now they've had it. They just can't do it anymore. And I empathize and I understand. And if you think we're exhausted as adults, what about the children? So, I want to talk a little bit about understanding the consequences for children's well-being, the parents, the caregivers, and, all of it. What does it mean for all of us now that we're faced with very long-term staffing shortages? And excuse my voice, we're in New England here, and it is the beginning of October, and so that means lots of pollen and changes of season, and so I might be clearing my throat a few times, so I do apologize for that. Hopefully it's not too distracting. Anyway, let's dive into it. So, childcare has become an essential service for so many families, and we have this growing concern that's looming over the childcare industry. You could turn on any news channel, and this has been the story of the day for many days now, right? They're talking about the staffing shortages. And so today's podcast, we're hoping that we can shed some light on the consequences that arise from these shortages that impact not only the children's well-being, but also the parents and caregivers. First and foremost, the well-being of the children is at stake. And adequate staffing levels are vital for providing safe and nurturing environment for children to help them grow and develop. And we all know that as educators. When there is a shortage of qualified staff, it becomes increasingly challenging to ensure that each child receives the attention and the care that they deserve. This can also lead to the lack of that individualized support, limited supervision, and reduced opportunities for learning and socialization. And these are all such important pieces of a high-quality program. And so we know already that children have lost so much in the last couple of years due to the pandemic, that inconsistency, that lack of social abilities and social opportunities, whether it's getting out, with a group of children or being able to see, facial cues of their caregivers and their parents who were wearing masks 2 years ago. All of those things impact their learning, and we all know that. But now, even though many of the mandates have lifted and, we can get together and for the most part in groups, we're still struggling because children are still not getting that consistency. And it's like a skeleton crew on a daily basis. And we know that is not the best environment for our children. And so the more and more time that goes by before this is addressed and corrected, the more detriment it's going to have on our children. And so we have to advocate for ourselves. Right? We have to advocate because we do talk a lot about, parents have to work. And of course, that's very true. But on the educational side, children are not thriving in the same way that they were 10 years ago. And everybody who is in the field, we all know it. And it breaks our heart because that's why we're here. We're here to make sure that the children feel loved, feel safe, feel nurtured, and, and especially if a child needs a little bit of additional supports, which at this time, most children do, they're not able to get really that extra help that they need. And we have to fix this problem. So I really wanted to, talk about it. And the only people who are going to advocate for us, is our community. So I'm hoping that this will get you a little riled up and figure out how can you spread the message beyond your program of what the staffing shortages mean, beyond the academic impact and the economic impact, but just, both of those together, because they equally weight, but we need to really talk about it. The other thing that I really want to bring to your attention is the consequences extend beyond the children themselves. Parents rely on childcare centers to provide a secure and reliable environment for their little ones when they attend work or pursue other commitments. However, when staffing shortages occur, parents may face increased stress and anxiety, worrying about the quality of care that their children are receiving. Now, for many of you out there, you may be parents, and you may have been drawn to this field because you were a parent. And it's already so hard to leave your child at a program or with somebody, whether it's a big program, a small program, a family child care, a center, it doesn't matter. It's still already stressful. And there's already a sense of, for many of them, guilt or, just feeling badly that they feel like they might be missing out on, part of their child's growth and development and the milestones and all of that. And so now this is just an additional layer of stress and anxiety. And it affects the overall well-being that the parents, feel. It affects their productivity at work and their ability to balance work and family life. And so we have to maybe figure out, how do we also articulate that to those out there in the world that need to hear this message, that it's an economic impact if families can't go to work. And yes, it is an impact on the child's growth and development, but also what is it doing to families, the family structure? We're already all stressed out. We don't have a lot of money in many cases because the economy and inflation. And this is just another layer that honestly, if we got some support around, could be alleviated. And if we all work together, we really can make some positive outcomes. But this additional burden really falls heavily on the shoulders of the child care providers themselves. Child care professionals are dedicated individuals, and you all play such an important role in shaping the lives of the children. And we do know that when the staffing shortages occur, we also often find ourselves overwhelmed with increased workloads and responsibilities, not making deadlines, especially those of you that are in leadership positions. You're finding yourself in classrooms more of the day than you are doing your own duties because, we know that's the right thing to do to support the staff and the children. But at the end of the day, this is also leading to burnout, decreased job satisfaction, and ultimately a higher turnover rate within the industry. I mean, even higher than it was before. So as a result, the continuity of care for children is disrupted. And this is further impacting the well-being and development of children. So I feel like it's essential for society as a whole to recognize the significance of addressing this child care staffing shortage. It means investing in the sector. It means investing in the future generations. And adequate staffing levels not only ensure the well-being and development of the children, but also provides peace of mind for parents and support for caregivers. And by valuing and prioritizing this vital industry, we can create a positive and nurturing environment for our children to thrive. The other thing I want to say too, when I was looking at statistics the other day, and this is maybe on an economic front as well, 80 to 90%, depending on, what area of the country you live in, childcare centers are owned by women. And more than 50% of those are owned by minority women. And so I don't know if we always have the strongest voice in advocacy. So if you are an ally when it comes to women in business, if it comes to supporting diversity and inclusion and equity, even if you don't have children, your voice should be heard around this staffing challenge, and figuring out how we as a community can really invest in this, whether it's our time, our money, volunteering, whatever it is we can do. Maybe it's, someone on your city council, whatever it is we can do as a collective really is going to make a difference. Because if these childcare centers do not get adequate staffing, they're going to close, and we're not going to be able to make ends meet. And we're already seeing that happen. And we have to, again, come up with some type of solution. So I guess I will wrap it up with, childcare staffing shortages, they're far reaching, and the impact of children's well-being, the parents, the caregivers alike. It's so important that we address this issue to ensure that every child receives the care and attention they deserve, that parents can trust the quality of care. Because again, we all know when we watch the news, it's never the great centers that make the news. It's always the ones who have, not the right staffing, are hiring out of desperation because they don't have enough teachers to open the centers, or they're burning out teachers to the point of they're just not able to function in the way that they need to function. And those are the ones that make the news. And so I think that we have to really make sure that we are working together to get to a solution. It's been going on way too long. And caregivers, they need to be able to perform the roles effectively, and they need our support. So by recognizing the importance of adequate staffing levels, we can together create a brighter future for our children and our society as a whole. So I would love to hear from all of you on your thoughts about how you are dealing with the staffing crisis, how it's impacting your families, how it's impacting your center, how it's impacting your teachers. So hop on over to our Facebook page and let's connect there. I also have our YouTube channel with some content that isn't on our traditional podcast platform, and I really love to connect with all of you. I do appreciate you tuning in, and I do value your time. You guys help me as much as hopefully this podcast helps you, and I'd love to meet some of you too. I think I want to make this goal to maybe visit some childcare centers in all 50 states, so that would be really cool. So anyway, thank you for tuning into the Childcare Director's Chair. There are brighter days ahead, but we all have to work together to get there. Thank you and have a great night.
Well, all the cute little kiddos have been picked up and it's time to go home. And that'll do it for another episode of the Childcare Director's Chair. Please leave a review so Erica knows the information is helping you to manage and improve your childcare centers. Remember to subscribe to get the latest episode from Erica's Childcare Director's Chair.